Hi, everyone. Welcome to Read Spider-Man Crawl Space Edition. Check us out at the SpiderManCrawlspace.com. Well, everybody, I'm here, of course, to review Free Comic Book Day Spider-Man issue here by writers Joe Kelly, Al Ewing, Dennis Camp, Cody Ziegler, and Charles Soule about the upcoming storylines, of course, in Amazing Spider-Man, the upcoming Ultimate Incursion, which kicks off next month, and, of course, the upcoming main storyline will be going on for the crossover between All New Venom, Amazing Spider-Man, and Eddie Brock Carnage here. And art by, of course, Jeremy Jr., Jonas Scuff, and Kafu. So let's go into the pros of it. Something that actually was kind of nice is, and this will go into the first story, which is known as When Death Strikes, which is Joe Kelly and John Romita Jr.'s lead-in issue, is they actually do a good job actually explaining that there was more in issue one that was going on with Norman being attacked by the cyborg that, of course, was a former employee. I do like the fact that it wasn't just a throwaway kind of thing about Norman saying, I'm going to retirement. Okay, after I've been attacked, almost killed, I'm coming out of retirement. And I do like the fact that we're pushing on to that. So there's a really nice little set with the storyline. This is an actual ongoing story that someone actually set up to take out Norman Osborn. That's part of the main book mystery that's been going on right now, which would Roger Kingsley always do is remains to be seen. But it's kind of a little bit nice. I also do like the really big thing with the Ultimate Incursion that goes back to when the Ultimate Universe was kicking off with the Maker when he was doing the original setup, which led to the current Ultimate line. I do like the fact that not only we get into those pieces, but we're going into a thing, which is pretty good since there's been so much going on in the Ultimate Universe. I do like the fact that what's going to cause Miles to do this is actually going to be really interesting since it's his baby sister who gets a hold of the card, which has suddenly gone to life because as the maker said in the original part is it really had a parts up tier. So the fact is it does make sense that, Miles Morales would actually go into. And also the book does a really good job of saying what's been going on with Miles for the last several months from everything from the vampirism, his new vibranium suit. So I really do like this too. And it should be interesting to see how he reacts to this different universe with everything, especially what's just been recently happened with Spider-Man on the Run, with Richard Parker as the other Spider-Man, and what of course is the stories are supposed to kind of come together here just after what just happened. We found here with Ultimate 16, so I'm really looking forward to that, and it's actually probably the strongest part out of all the stories too. Sad is the hardest part of the story is that everything actually is the backup with the Venom story for Joe Kelly, Charles Soule, and Al Ewing. As much as we know, come this summer they're going to do a crossover between the three books in the storyline, especially here, but it's interesting to get the little different perspectives. And of course, you can tell which writers are writing what for what character. So you definitely see Joe Kelly talking about how Spider Man is viewed by the mysterious bad guy of the storyline, how Venom is done by Al Ewing, and then of course, Charles Stein. And our problem is it's really as many people think. It looks like Null, the King in Black, is coming back. Yes, that all rhymes, I understand. But at the same time, you kind of wonder why and how this is going to, especially after what happened with Venom War. You really do not know if this is really going to pop into that story or not. So I'm not quite sure what it's going to, and why I am going to be reading into the storyline and everything else. And I, of course, got my all new Venom 1 through 6 review coming up here this coming week. I really don't think, I feel it was kind of the weakest of it. Another thing that's really weak about the story, too, is actually the main story. Why it gets a good mystery when we have, Lord Deathstrike come out and everything else too. The fact is we have everything with Spider-Man. We also have issues too as he starts first like, well, despite everything, Norman's now my friend. What? After everything that happened, also talk about Aunt May like in horror movies and so forth also hurts it. And of course, the whole little part is, and Joe Kelly basically said how much Shay is not exclusive or anything to Peter, yet we have them cuddling and talking about seeing horror movies and cuddling to each other. It's very weird considering the fact that the other writers are kind of treating that Shay really doesn't have a point, and we know kind of Joe Kelly doesn't really intend to do much. It's more of like, hey, we are on this, we got to do it. It makes it a very weak storyline. It's like they're, as I said, they're cutting the nose off to, spike their face on the storyline. I think it's a cool little mystery about who is targeting Norman Osborn and how it fits into the main storyline. I do like the artwork. John Romita Jr. is actually, this is some of the artwork I really do like about it. I think this is probably very strong here for this for a Free Comic Book Day. The book definitely gathers a lot of interest and so forth, even with the weakest parts here. So believe it or not, I'm going to give the whole issue actually a B. I think the Ultimate Incursion coming up with Miles Morales, especially when we get to see Vespa and the Bumbler and some of the stories and Miles going around Brooklyn talking to people, really definitely has that nice friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which is kind of missing. Also, the fact is the jokes and actually the fight here with Lord Deathstrike actually is kind of cool and actually thing, and also the mystery about why is he targeting Norman Osborn, why why this same assassin was trying to get rid of the cyborg assassin to make him from talking. It definitely is a cool little mystery, and it's nice to know that scene was not a throwaway. Why the Venom setup for the upcoming story crossover later this summer kind of feels like it's the weakest, especially when each writer is trying to give their own view of Spider-Man with the mysterious bad guy. Like I said, could be null, could be something completely different. It feels kind of flat, but the whole issue in itself, I'm going to have to give it a B. It's not a bad one, especially for a comic book day, and at least it's tying in with all the upcoming storylines. Even though I have more interest in Ultimate Incursion versus the other two storylines. So, with that note, guys, if you like this review here, go think about liking and subscribing to the channel here to get our thing. I have a lot of reviews, including a Rogues review on Itsy Bitsy coming up here in the next week here. So, I got a lot of wonderful reviews of myself before I actually disappear for a short vacation. So, and then for more information, guys, check us out at the SpiderManCrawlspace.com. Check us out on our various social media as well as the website itself to get more. And of course, think about joining our Patreon as well too to get more lists of exclusives on stories, podcasts, and more. And with that, everybody, I'll see you in a little later on the Crawl Space.